So it seems like, ESPN and these bigger sites with like 1 million or more followers are starting to put out some random street blading clips. So yeah, it's interesting. What would you think about if it went to a larger stage or something like the X Games at this point?
Yeah. So we've established that, that I came up kind of like with this DIY punk attitude, and I had a bad ending with the X Games. I was fired. That's been well documented. Rollerblading was dropped from the X Games, unceremoniously. I feel like there was a lot of bitter feelings left over from how that all went down. But all of that said, I think it would be the best thing in the world. I have no reservations or objections to rollerblading being welcomed back on a larger stage. I think that it would be the best thing in the world for rollerblading. I think that the people that skate now are too talented, work too hard, risk too much to not be getting paid. And the only way they can get paid is if people see what they're doing and they're on a larger stage. Rollerblading needs to be on the X Games. I think it's great that Nitro Circus has been such a good ally and friend to rollerblading. Put it on Sports Illustrated, put it on the latest Disney movie, wherever you want to put it. I have no objections. Sell it out, let people know what they're doing, and let these skaters get paid because they deserve it.
Feel that.
That's how I feel about it.
Feel that. I've been saying for a long time, man, I'll do a soul grind on the side of a Speed Stick or an Old Spice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Deodorant thing any day. Any day. Old Spice, hit me up.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you said that, well, I guess it might have been from like the Barely Dead interview where you talk about the X Games, but you said that rollerblading wasn't ready for the X Games, and that was kind of the reason why you got all that backlash and it failed. And now you're saying we are definitely ready for it. And I agree with you too. I think we're definitely ready for something like that. Did you see a time in skating in between then and now when you think blading would have been a good time to be televised on the X Games or just in the mainstream?
Yeah. I mean, the irony is by the time we got kicked out, I think it already was ready for the main stage for prime time. I mean, when we got kicked out on Vert, you already had the Yasutoko brothers, you had Ty Chris, you had Mark Engelhardt, Shane Yosh, you had all these guys, Matt Lindy, Fabiola. They were doing double backflips. Guys were already trying triple backflips. I mean, the Yasutokos consistently are airing over head height, double head height. I mean, that is spectacular television. And on street, we already had Aaron Feinberg happen. You had the French skaters. You had Jaron Grobe had won a couple of titles. I mean, you had big names and people doing credible big tricks. Skating looked good. I think from any point then on, it was already ready for the big stage. It's just we were being penalized for kind of our transgressions before then. And so it all added up to kind of a bad end for rollerblading. But I don't think that there was sort of any inflection point between getting kicked out and now where it's like, oh, now we're ready to be back on the main stage. I think we were already ready by that point. Chris Happy existed.
Yeah.
Alex existed. Shima existed. I mean, it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Skating was at such a high level in the mid 2000s when all that shit was going on. And you're right. Like even talking about Vert in particular, the Yasutokos, no one was touching them in any sport.
No.
Exactly.
And, yeah. Street skating, Happy, Shima, Feinberg, all those guys were doing the most insane things on street. Now you're absolutely right. That was like the heyday of people just fucking sending it.
But I will say another thing. I think that it just sort of as a side tangent, but kind of, again, new material, new ideas that have been percolating. But because, because Feast is something that has continued to include rollerblading on their main stage along with the other action sports, the big French contest every year. Oh my God. Why is my daughter trying to FaceTime me right now? Sorry.
Why does it show up on our side?
Can y'all can't see her, can you?
No, some thumbnail came up of like legs. I don't know whose legs they were.
Crazy. What is she doing? And I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, but she's the only person who has like break-in.
Maybe that's her like hacking in the microphones before.
Even when I posted, like I told people like I'm going on live, whatever, an hour. And she like loved it, like, so I know she knows. Teenagers, kids. so the Feast contest, I assume it's called Feast, FISC.
Yeah.
They put on a great event every year, and and it attracts great skaters. But so as I've watched the evolution of this contest, and I see kind of like what skating looks like, because they build these crazy giant courses with transitions.
Massive.
And and so you got CJ Wellsmore and Joe Atkinson's and like these guys that are they're amazing. It's this amazing hybrid, skill set where they're flipping and doing these amazing spins and giant transfers. And they're also spinning up to giant walls and doing like these incredible grinds. And like, it's like the total package. And, we got a hint of it with like Aaron Feinberg and Stefan Alfano and these guys in the early days in the competition skating. But these skaters now have really taken it to the next level. And I feel like my DIY attitude kind of held it back in the beginning, because we sort of frowned on flips. Like we were like, we're raw and gritty and street. Don't focus on the transitions, focus on the grinds, and flipping is not real street skating. But now it's like, you see and again, it's kind of like this Woodward influence, which I was reluctant to embrace in the early days, but BMX, street courses, and what scooters do with the guys on scooters, it's all so impressive and gnarly. And it's a lot of transition with, technical elements. And I feel like rollerbladers are starting to do that as well. And whereas I used to always kind of bristle at it and think, that's not pure or raw or whatever. Now it's like, I want to see more of it. It's like these guys should be jumping, flipping into their dropping, right?
The amplitude aspect of it.
Thing you can do, milk it, and stretch it, and like make it bigger and bolder. Like, it's rad.